All right, let's bring this meeting to order. The August 3rd, 2021 Newburyport Conservation Commission meeting being held on the Zoom platform. This meeting's being recorded. First item on the agenda are the approval of the meeting minutes of July 20th, 2021. Anybody got any changes or comments? Okay. Take a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call, Paul Healy,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Carol Wagon.
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, next item, Plum Island updates. Do we have any Plum Island updates?
I don't have any Plum Island updates. In fact, I'm setting up a meeting with the mayor so that I will be able to give you all some Plum Island updates. Looking for updates on the Coir Bag project, when that's scheduled for, if it's going to be postponed because of the dredge. I'm also looking for updates on the dredge nourishment project, whether that's still on target for this fall, and whether or not those two projects will impact each other. And also needing to talk with her about other Plum Island type issues. So I'll hopefully have an update for you at the next meeting with more information. And I don't think there has been another MRBA meeting scheduled. Am I right, Dan? And I mean, David and Joe?
I don't think so.
I haven't received anything.
Okay. Another item, Julie, you want to talk about bow hunting on city property?
Yeah, I do, because we got a question about it. A resident is really interested in making that happen. I figured we would save it till the end, just because it's we could handle it now too, whichever you'd like. Since it's still only.
Yeah, the issue is we don't not supposed to even start the certificates of compliance and everything till 7.
Okay.
So.
Okay, great. Well, I'll open up this. This is the email I received from a resident who would like to do some bow hunting on some of the open space areas in the city. Namely, he was asking about Cooper North Pasture and the Wet Meadows. The Water Resource Protection District zoning does allow, it doesn't necessarily allow hunting, but it doesn't prohibit hunting, and it mentions hunting as a activity that is not prohibited, let's say. But he's looking more towards the Cooper Pasture and Wet Meadows. I looked at the Cooper North Pasture conservation restriction language, and it does prohibit hunting. The Wet Meadows conservation restriction language does not expressly prohibit hunting, but, and I have it here. Let's see. Oh, this is just that's just that again. Let's see. I thought that I had pulled up. Oh, I'm going to have to pause sharing for 1 second and switch to a new screen so that I can share with you the, here we go. Okay, can you all see this new page?
No.
No.
Oops. No, you can't. All right, hold on a sec. Resume share. Can you see this now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
so this
So
is the
Julia,
Wet
this is
Meadows.
parcel of land south of Hale Street?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. This is the Wet Meadows conservation restriction, and this is for the Wet Meadows, yes, south of Hale Street. Okay, so so in looking through this to see whether or not hunting is allowed, it doesn't prohibit hunting. What it does prohibit is prohibited activities, you know, roots removal, destruction of trees, etc., mining. None of these are related to hunting until you get to number 10, activities detrimental to wildlife habitat, drainage, flood control, water, soil conservation, scenic qualities, or erosion control. I don't know if one would argue that hunting is detrimental to wildlife habitat. It depends on how you look at it. Then we also have any other use of the premises, number 12 at the bottom, any other use of the premises or activity which would impair the conservation values unless such use or activity is necessary and desirable in the opinion of the grantee, which is the Conservation Commission, and at the grantee's sole discretion for the protection of conservation values that are subject to this conservation restriction. So it's really based on what's written in this CR. It's really up to the Conservation Commission to decide whether or not you think that hunting, and in this case, bow hunting, is detrimental to the interests of the conservation area. My concern was that these areas are used for public passive recreation. There's trails that run through them. People go birding out there. I'm not sure that people expect there to be hunters when they're out there. And I'm not sure if there's safety concerns with that. So again, while it's not prohibited, it's up to the commission to decide whether or not you think it's appropriate and in line with the other values that are being protected by this CR.
Yeah, I don't think there's much in the line of passive recreation happening in the wet meadows because of the cattle that are out there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It can be quite dangerous to be out there with the bull roaming around.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't know why it would be detrimental to wildlife habitat.
Okay.
It might actually improve it.
Right.
Well, it might actually improve it. But you know, the issue with cattle being out there, I would think we should probably at least talk with Matt Kazaki about that because they're his cattle that are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine he'd be terribly happy to have a hunter out there and his pet.
Yeah.
I wonder why he's not looking to go to the city forest or one of the other places nearby where they do let people shoot in season. I don't know. Maybe he just said of the
Yes.
wetlands.
Is it legal to hunt within the city?
I don't think
Well,
it is.
Well, so that's
Awesome.
why initially when I got this email, I responded and sent it also to public safety and the mayor's office and to let them know, to see if any of them had an answer, because I don't feel like we're the ones who should rule on hunting or not hunting in any part of the city, really. I think that maybe there's an ordinance. So I looked through our zoning ordinance and there's nothing in our zoning that refers to hunting other than in the water supply protection district where it doesn't prohibit hunting specifically and it calls out the word hunting. That's it. That's all I was able to find. So I think maybe we just don't have a policy about it. And
I actually think it's illegal to discharge firearms.
Mhm.
I don't know that bow hunting is part of that
Okay.
because of the range. I think it's discharging firearms on public property.
Well, I think it's within a certain distance of a home. I think if you're, and I don't know what that distance is, but
Yeah. So how about this? What if I tell him that, well, it's not prohibited in the wet meadows. Number one, you always have to have a license. It's a hunting license. Even for bow hunting, you have to have a license. And that he should consult with the public safety officials. He should consult with the police station as to what those regulations might be in there or in the forest or anywhere else.
Well, he does
Yeah.
say in his letter that he has a hunting license.
Yes. Okay. So he has a hunting license, taken a bow hunting safety course, engineer, robotic safety, blah, blah, blah. So he's saying, is it allowed on public lands? Well, the answer is it's not allowed on certain public lands, but it's not prohibited on other public lands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
There's no
can't get
permitting
past that
process.
safety thing that you said, Joe, as far as having people out there hunting when others aren't aware of it, or, I mean, you'd think you'd have to start getting restrictive where they are hunting out there and things like that. And I-
Yeah,
setbacks
but-
from trails, et cetera. He's talking
But-
about setbacks from trails. We just don't have any rules or regulations.
Yeah,
Yeah, out there, nobody, I don't know that I've ever seen, Steve and I were probably the last people to walk out there.
just
That was
you
quite a
two and
while ago.
million
That was
ticks.
quite a while ago, because there's really no trails there other than, cow trails, because the cows were out there all the time. I think he needs to, at the very least, talk with Matt Kazaki about it,
Mhm.
in addition to public safety folks.
Yeah.
Well, Julia, I mean, not to give you more work, but I think we need
Yeah.
to find out too.
Oh, yeah, we need to know. And that's why I think nobody responded when I asked them the question. I forwarded them all this email and asked, do we have anything? Literally, nobody responded because I think nobody else has the answer either. It
Oh,
may just
right.
be that we don't have a policy and that we should maybe put together a little committee and talk about whether or not we need one. And if so, like what that should be. Or at least if not just a list of the public lands where it is allowed and isn't allowed. And if it is allowed, are there certain parameters that it needs to, be within?
I
Yeah.
think historically, whether it was legal or not, there was hunting on the land north of Crow Lane, going up the Low Street, Randy Millen or whomever, because there were deer stands out there. So people were clearly hunting, whether it was legal or not, I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, it's good to know. So that at least there's a history of it. So yeah. So for now, I will let him know that you should talk to Matt Kazaki when it comes to the wet meadows. I've already told him that it's not allowed on Cooper North pasture and that he would need a sign off from public safety. And then I'll just see if I can gather a group of people in the city interdepartmentally to talk about whether or not we need a policy.
So I just brought up the code of regulations.
Yeah.
And no person, except in the performance of a public duty, shall discharge any gun, cannon, field piece, pistol, or other firearms upon the public streets, squares, or other public places within the city. And
Where is that it's not in the zoning, it must be in a different,
I just searched on firearms.
okay,
It came right up.
got it.
Code 19.
So it's not under hunting, but it's under firearms. So if you consider,
Discharging, yeah. Yeah,
okay,
and also shooting bow and arrow, sling, air gun, blah, blah, blah.
okay.
Can't be on any street stuff,
But
so.
It says street, what else does it say?
No person shall shoot with or use a bow and arrow, sling, or air gun, play ball, or fly any kite or balloon, or throw a stone, snowball, or other missile in any street.
Oh, okay.
Snowball?
But doesn't talk
Snowball,
about
yes.
doesn't say anything about other public spaces,
No, it does not.
just streets.
Yep.
So you can shoot somebody in a park, just not in the street.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you can arrest all the kids having snowball fights.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect. Okay. All right. All right. Well, that's all helpful. At least we've moved like a step further.
Julia,
Yeah.
I'd also recommend that he get in touch with Fish and Game. They're probably the best authority in the state on best places and practices for fishing and hunting. That's what they do.
Yes, exactly. Okay, I will do that too. I looked on their website and they talk a lot about the state-owned lands and rules and regulations and seasons and things like that. And then when they talk about municipal property, they just say refer to each town's policy, which we don't have, but he should still maybe get in touch with them in terms of other like rules and regulations he might need to know.
All right, we set with that,
Okay, yep.
and right at 7 o'clock.
There you go.
All right, next item, certificates of compliance, et cetera. Daniel Harrington, 864th Street, certificate of compliance.
Okay, I just made Tom a panelist, so he should pop up over here in a minute. Right on.
I can't help it. And Ally said the same to her, and then.
Hey, everyone, I just want to announce
Okay,
my
if-
late arrival.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Ron.
Hi, Ron.
Hi,
You made it in time for everything you needed to.
good.
All right, Tom, if you're here, I
Yep.
have all of the files for 864th, if you want to just
Yeah,
give the
sure.
commission a quick update.
So there was an order of conditions issued in 1995. I read through the notice of intent, which was prepared by Bill DC. And at the time, there was the argument made that there wasn't a lot of dune function there and there wasn't a lot of meaningful vegetation, largely due to the developed area. You have to remember in 1995, you know, the amount of function that was looked at was very different. So the permit was issued to rebuild an existing house up on piles and to relocate the garage on property. And then there was no mitigative planting, but there was an area of planting, which was basically the area north of the proposed structure within the footprint of the existing structure that would be planted in order to stabilize it and prevent erosion. So when we look at what's there, it's a little bit different than what was permitted. So if we can go to the plan sheet. What they ended up doing, I guess, was not relocating the garage, but just building behind it. It is elevated on piles. All of the detail shown, shows up on those architectural plans or on that site plan. And the area between the building and the lot line to the north is largely vegetated. There are some areas of sand, but if you were to look at an aerial photograph of the site, today, you'd see that the site, other than the driveway and a few features like the fire pit off to the left and a little bit of sand, is largely vegetated. So it's pretty clear that things were done in compliance with that plan, especially given the day and age in which it was permitted and the amount of focus that went into reviewing these back dune projects. Now we're a few decades later and they're looking to sell the property. And of course, the order of conditions shows up on the deed. And we're looking to clear that. So we filed for the certificate of compliance application. And you can see,
I'm just showing this because this was the proposed layout of the floor plan, and you can see the covered porch on one side and the deck in the back. And it is really exactly what they built.
right. And also, looking through, I looked at the 1995 aerials, the 2001 aerials, and the 2020 aerials, and you can clearly see the project happened between 95 and 2001. And then you can see really no change to speak of between 2001 and 2020. There's a period in 2008 where it looks like a lot more of the lot was sandy than it is now, but nothing major, certainly no more than any other wiggles on any property, out there. So I guess given the amount of information we've got in the record with the NOI, given the age of the permit when it was issued, and what's on the ground now, we'd like to ask the commission to issue a clean certificate of compliance so we can close this out and the new property owner can move in.
Was the driveway enlarged from what they started with on the original plan?
Well, so the driveway, back then, they used to not detail the landscape parts. So if we go to, all they
This
did was
was
show the outline of the structure, and they didn't even show decks. So it's a little bit frustrating, and we've dealt with this before in other certificates that are not even this old, where just the boxes of the homes were shown, and what happened with the driveway, it just wasn't shown.
Yeah.
But they didn't relocate the garage. So this was the existing garage. It's supposed to be really relocated over here where the driveway was and still is. And instead they left the garage where it was. and they essentially almost left the house where it was too. They built the new house, but they built it essentially in the similar location, more close to the old location. So, I mean, my assumption is that the driveway itself probably didn't change, given that the garage didn't change and the location of the house didn't change very much either.
Right.
It's
I mean,
again, it's an assumption that you have to make, but
Yeah.
But looking at aerials back 2001 to now, the driveway doesn't look very different. You know, it's pretty much that same thing. So it's whenever that driveway was done, it was done either contemporaneously with the project or prior to.
Okay.
And at least it's gravel and not pavers.
Yeah, I mean, overall, if you look at the site and you look at the neighborhood, it's among the more vegetated sites, and it looks, you know, and it looks like it's actually pretty decent, and
yeah,
project is not that different than something you might permit nowadays. You know, so.
Anybody else?
So if we remove these conditions and they decide to do something, they just would have to come back to us for permission to make
Yeah,
any changes beyond what
right.
we had
So-
before.
So the permits that you guys issue is, as you may know, they get filed at the Registry of Deeds, and then we're supposed to come back when the project is done and apply to release them, to get a certificate of compliance. And that always makes the permit go away unless you had a perpetual condition in there. And then anything new anybody ever wants to do, if it triggers the law, they have to get a new permit.
Okay.
And so the new owner would be coming in, you know, they couldn't schedule the closing because of this. So now they'll move forward with the closing. New owner would come in. If they want to make any changes on the property, it'd have to be, you know, fully compliant with the regs and get an RDA and a notice of intent or an administrative approval, depending on what they're doing.
Thank you.
Motion to issue the certificate of compliance for 864th Street.
Second,
Our roll call, Paul Healy,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Ron DeCola,
Yes.
Carol Wagon.
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, can I get a motion to open the public hearings?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, first item is Lorraine and Michael Riley to Spofford Street, amend order of conditions. And I hear that they're looking for a continuance.
yes. We got an email today from Tom asking for continuance on this. They need more time to put together the calculations on the square footage increases of impervious surface on the site and answer the questions with regard to pervious pavers and things like that that the commission had. So I don't know, Tom, if you're still here, I'm
Yeah.
assuming that you want to continue this to the next meeting, or do you want to go out to September? What's your preference?
No, to the next meeting. When I had to continue it again, I sent an email out to the client team and let the engineering firm know that, you know, if I didn't have the numbers by the end of this week, so I could get you guys a submittal by next Tuesday, we'd miss that next meeting. And, you know, they're just extremely backed up. They haven't even gotten to the calculations. It's not that they're struggling with doing them,
Okay.
just getting them
Alright.
into.
So August 17th.
Yeah, so that's my plan, is to get you something next Tuesday, maybe Wednesday morning, but get you something in enough time to get, you know, plenty of time for you to review it before that next meeting.
All right,
Motion to continue to August 17th.
Second,
all right, roll call, Paul Healy,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Ron DeCola,
Yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearings?
So
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 moved.
moved.
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Next item, enforcement and violations. Jerry Mullins, the Gloria Brownhart Bike Trail. So I took a walk out there today, and have seen that nothing that we asked Jerry to do has been done. If you remember, he had all June to do something, to take care of the dirt on the path and fill in the areas that he had taken dirt from, and he has done none of that. In fact, this first picture shows a couple of saplings that I assume was him, cut the tops off of them. And those are pretty new. You go down the next pictures, Julie. This is another section, not all that far from the Boy Scout overlook, where he is actually, or somebody has actually recently, within the past couple of days, because there's no marks from rain, swept dirt and debris from the wooded area out to the middle of the, the edge of the path here. So some more dirt has been moved up there.
Yeah, I went out there, I forget whether it was Saturday or Sunday, and I did not see that. So,
Yeah. Oh no, this is this was yesterday or the day before. It's all fresh sweeping, and and it's not in the direction we want it to be.
Joe, is that underlying that swept debris? Is that asphalt pavement?
Yes. Yeah, he's been moving soil and debris out to delineate a bike path of whatever the official width of a bike path is, which is the whole issue here. Well, it's not the whole issue. The other issue is, you go to the next page, Julie. The top picture, you can see, like, it's much easier to see in 3D when you're there. The top picture is right next to the Boy Scout overlook near Hale Street. And you can see I wish I could control the cursor, because you can see dark edges. The beginning of, go up a little higher, Julie, right there.
Right here?
Right there, that is the drop off into an area that he took dirt out of and moved it over to the trail. And on the right side there where the cursor is now, there you can see some dead debris, like right down in there. That all drops off. That's a depression that he apparently threw grass seed into. That's all he did. And he was supposed to refill all of that with dirt from the path. The next picture is further down. You can see the center there where it's all brown. That's a depression that he dug out and moved off to the path. And he filled it in with leaves and sticks and other things. So I am not positive whether this one is within our jurisdiction, but the other one absolutely is, because it's about horizontally about 3 to 5 feet from the river. So
One of the issues is that even if it's not in our jurisdiction, it's city property.
Right.
So.
Yeah, he's damaging city property. And if you want to go down to the last pictures, you can see where in some spots, like in the right picture, all the grass seed he's thrown on that soil is now all grown up. So he has done nothing that we asked him to do. In fact, he's actually done the opposite of what we asked him to do.
he also didn't modify that bridge that we asked him to modify.
Right. So he's and I walked by him on my way out. I was walking my dogs out there, and I walked by him on the way out. He was coming in with a small handsaw, and something else. I didn't notice the other part, and I told him that we would be discussing this at tonight's meeting, and he's chosen not to show up. So next steps, I just sent out tonight to Julie and Steve. And Julie has the email I sent to her.
Oh, yeah.
That regarding the bullet points that we need to send to the mayor to ask her to do something. She wanted bullet points to be able to talk to him about all this, and I am certainly open to suggestions as to additions or subtractions from this. But
Who is the organization he works for?
Parker River, he is the president of Parker River Clean Water Association.
Okay, so,
I do not believe the organization has sanctioned most of what he's done out there. And I don't believe that he has really been informing them all that well of what he's been doing out there.
Joe, when we talked about this before, did something go out to him in writing? I can remember, or did you just talk to
Yes,
him about it?
we sent him a notice of violation.
Okay,
He knows all about this, and he came in, he was on
Yeah.
the, whatever the meeting after May
It was in
17th.
oh, that's
May.
right.
Yeah.
So he was in, we were talking with him.
Mhm.
Steve and I went out there and talked with him at least once or twice. And he said, yep, and didn't do anything. So, and I know he's been out there, he's been installing, or he's been working with the Boy Scouts to install trail signs. And, you know, after we sent that notice violation, those mile marker adopted trail signs were installed without the permission of the city. So, you know, what I'm thinking of right now is first, let the mayor, I was talking with Julie about this, we let the mayor talk to him first, and or end the agreement. He's got a signed agreement with the city, caretaker agreement. But after that, I think we should strongly consider fining him. And, you know, doing something to get his attention.
Thing is, if we fine him, are we really fining Parker River Clean Water?
I don't think we are, because I don't think this stuff is sanctioned by them. I don't think any of this was sanctioned by them. So like I said before, I don't think he's been totally forthcoming on everything he's been doing.
So he
And-
wasn't acting as an agent for Parker River. Nobody from that agency, as far as, or their organization, asked him to do any of this, as far as.
I think he would like people to believe that he's working under the auspices of Parker River, because he has this, because Parker River Clean Water Association has this agreement with the city to maintain these trails. And so I think he thinks whatever he is that he's doing out there is always under that sort of agreement with the city. But the fact is that he's doing so much more out there than was ever agreed to, and he's not getting any permission from the city for any of it. And it is
Right.
city property.
He's violating his own agreement. It says, and it's agreement he wrote and signed, where he would get permission to make any kind of alterations out there. And when it suits him, he asks for permission, and when it doesn't, he just does what he's going to do.
So do we have any idea how much it would cost to remedy the?
Well,
what he's done?
that's one thing I would like to ask the DPS director as to whether the city street sweeper could be brought down there just to push all this stuff off to the sides. You know, not pick it all up, just do they have a way just to brush it off to the side? So basically it would be up one side and back down the other, and all the stuff that he did would at least be off the roadway.
Because it
Yeah.
seems like it would be appropriate if we were gonna levy some kind of fine against him, to have it be commensurate with whatever it's gonna cost to remedy the situation.
Well,
No,
I mean,
I agree.
I agree too. And I think that there's, the next step, I think that the first thing is that the mayor should have a discussion with him, because this was sort of an agreement that she as mayor made with him on behalf of the city for him to do some of this work. He hasn't complied with that because he's doing things without getting permission. So she should talk with him about that issue. And that's why Joe put together these bullet points that I think is important for her to address with Jerry. And if it continues to happen after that, which hopefully it won't, but if it does, and he doesn't seem to have paid much attention to what we've said, more recently, then I think the next step for us is an enforcement order. So we've issued a notice in violation. The next step is a true enforcement order, which is more of a legal enforcement action against him, that if he doesn't comply with, then fines can be levied per day. And that's the typical way we would go about an enforcement action. So, and maybe that would be enough to get him to stop just the, actual legal threat of a fine.
Yeah, I don't know that he's motivated by any of that. I know Parker River is concerned that he'll try and get money out of them, which means they would go bankrupt because they're a tiny nonprofit.
Well, is there anyone else there at the Parker River that is aware of this?
Oh yeah, they're all aware of it. I've made sure they're all aware of it, because I've been dealing with Parker River as a member and as a volunteer for probably 20 years now. So I know everybody who's on the board, and I have kept them in the loop, so they know.
So I would like to just point out that despite all of these bad things that Jerry has done, he's also done some pretty good work.
Agreed.
That no one else would do. I mean, he's organized several Eagle Scout projects out there that probably would not have happened without him. So I'd like to, well, I'm not sure what I'd like. I know he's difficult to deal with.
Yep. 100% agree with
That's
you.
difficult.
Steve. Yeah, but he has been the only one who has been proactively willing to take on approved projects out there. So there's a balance, because he's done some really great things that we've permitted, and he's implemented them. It's just this issue of doing additional work without permission.
He even takes a lawnmower out there, and I don't know if it's his or not, and mows some of the trails, which
What's that big weed whacker thing?
I don't know what he's got, but
I gave him my weed whacker thing, and never got it back from him either. Not that it was in any good shape, but so yeah, I don't know what he does out there anymore, but and yes, he's worked with the Boy Scouts, he's done things, but I've had to go over there and stop them in midstream doing some of the things that he was doing, because he had no permits for it. I had to go stop a Boy Scout project because he was putting in stuff over the vernal pool. He never talked with us about it. He just put in an advertisement and said, "We're looking for volunteers to come out and help us put in these things." So, it's.
I just can't see where his involvement in this, I mean, I'm hearing everything you're saying, but he's going to continue to do what he pleases. I mean,
Yes.
You're going to be disappointed on this. And I kind of feel like I would think more that you resolve this agreement, and then he's just an individual who's on city property that's doing things he shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. And no, he does do what he wants. You're exactly right, David. He does do what he wants to do. And it was funny in the discussions with one of the land management companies we talked to, how they described him as an alpha volunteer. So he's not a new sort of entity. They knew exactly the personality. They take over the certain area and they do what they please out there.
So Julia, I think, if the mayor ends up having a meeting with him, I think you should be there because Jerry will be telling a somewhat slanted side of his story.
Yeah,
That may
okay,
not necessarily be true.
okay.
Yeah, and I was going to say that, on this list of items that Joe has put together, things that he's been doing without a permit, I think it'd be good for, if this is for the mayor to give her talking points, to include in this document some of the dates at which we have talked to him, either at meetings or other times.
Mhm.
I have a whole list. You're right, Paul. I have a
Yeah.
whole list that I sent to
Yeah.
the mayor
Oh, okay, good. Because
outlining all those dates.
yeah, because otherwise the mayor could say, well, okay, this is the first I'm hearing of it, so Jerry, don't do it anymore. And if you do it anymore, we'll talk again. And we can cut off, cut back on that time delay. I think if she understands that we've already been there.
Right, and remember one thing, the mayor asked him to stop all activity out there until this was resolved.
Yeah.
He did not.
Right, yeah, but it's just the more clear it can be that we don't need to go into delay tactics.
Yeah, no, there's been a lot of that, and we've been extremely patient with him because of what he's done out there, and
Oh yeah.
but it sometimes the gain is not worth the effort.
Yeah.
And especially now that we may have a company coming in to manage these parcels.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
All right. So
What more can we do tonight then?
I guess we're gonna have to wait until we get some. We hear what the mayor wants to do.
Yeah, I'll try to get in touch with Donna tomorrow and see if we can set up a meeting with Jerry. If she had said that she wants to call him or email him about it, but you may be right that it'd be better for them to sit down, even if it's a Zoom, whatever, just a sort of an actual meeting.
Yeah.
So we'll work on that, and I'll send her these notes, these bullets, and I'll give you guys an update.
Okay. All right. Julie, I'll resend that email that I had all the dates
Perfect.
involved.
Great, thank you.
All right. So we'll see what happens for the next meeting. Do we have anything else?
Any word from the harbor master?
I knew you were going to ask that, and no, I checked my email. Actually, I was away last week, but he did respond to me after I emailed him about it, and he said he was swamped with all the shark hunting stuff and that he would give me a call, and I haven't heard from him. So it's another thing, maybe I can just talk with the mayor about it, and we can, I think it would just be helpful to have her let him know how important it is that it gets done ASAP. I just think it needs to be, I think it's a matter of it not being on the top of his priority list ever. It's possible. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure of that.
yeah, clearly.
Can I ask for a brief explanation about what it is that we're trying to get him to do? Because I'm assuming this has been going on for a long time, because I don't
It
remember
has.
coming up since.
Steve, you wanna give the summary, Steve?
Just real quick, I don't want to take up everybody's
Yeah.
time.
The city had a small booth out there for this is at the north end of the island, in the parking lot. So for the parking person to collect money, and Paul was using the old Coast Guard building, which was pretty decrepit and finally got so moldy he couldn't, reasonably expect people to work out of it. So they built a shed, which we permitted, I think, on the parking lot, but it wasn't raised It's supposed to be, we thought 2 feet, but I guess it's really only 1 foot based on where it is. Above the ground level, and it isn't. So we've been after him now for several years to get it raised to an appropriate level.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
that's the gist of it.
Are we still on old business? Has anybody heard anything more about Evergreen? What's happening with the errant plow person there? Mowing person, whatever? No?
Julie, are you frozen?
Julia
I
looks like
think-
she's frozen. Oops.
Julie froze. I don't know what we're gonna do now. At least we can see each other.
Who else,
She'll
Julie?
be back.
Be back.
So, yeah, we'll give her a minute. I know Tom is raising his hand, but guess what, Tom? We can't let you in. We don't have the authority.
Gretchen is hosting.
Gretchen is hosting now? Oh, no.
Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, we can do that.
Well, let's wait a few minutes for Julia.
Yeah, if nothing else, someone could communicate with her about the National Grid on the walkway.
She just
The
texted me. So what do we want to tell her?
She can't get back in?
Let me ask her. She lost her internet connection.
Oh,
No?
okay.
Yeah, that's what she gets for moving out of the cellar and up into a much lighter area or sunnier area.
And we can't promote Tom?
No, not at this point. She's trying to get back in. We'll see if she can.
This is getting exciting.
This is, well, this is one of the few snags for, yeah, she said she should have stayed in the basement.
So that's Tom Hughes to give an update on Evergreen. Is that what he's?
Probably, but it's gonna be tough right now. She's
Well,
it's not
she's
bad.
attempting. So Gretchen is the host? How did you get
Yeah.
to be the host, Gretchen? Oh, because you were the first person in today?
I was.
No,
So
dang,
can
I
you-
would have been host and had no idea what to do.
Well, Gretchen can make you the host.
Can you,
No, don't do that. I don't know
Gretchen, can
any
you
more about
promote
this.
Tom?
I don't know how to do anything.
Oh,
maybe we could adjourn and then follow up with Julia writing. you an
Yeah,
email
I
or
think we can do
something.
that.
Yeah.
All right. In that case, why don't we get a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
Opposed? Okay. Good night, all. Oh, and there
Good night.
she did. She just popped in,
Oh,
Oh.
just in time. You,
It's funny.
Julie, you just popped in just after we moved to adjourn. And your audio's
Still
off,
frozen.
and she's frozen again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's your Wi-Fi, Julie.
Huh.
Wi-Fi stinks. You're still
You
frozen.
guys. Oh my
Oh,
God.
there you are. Can you say anything?
Gosh. All right,
Sign
back.
language.
All right, well, we have some audio, but we did just, your image is frozen.
Yeah.
well, it's a nice picture. You're smiling, so
Yeah.
Sometimes if you get rid of the video, we might be able to hear you. Might be able to do just audio. Oh, no, there she is.
Yeah, you're coming in and out, Julie, and we actually just adjourned and so we
Right.
really shouldn't do any more.
on adjourn.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we don't need
We
to.
were just
Alright.
kidding, just kidding.
So we'll,
Good night. See ya.
good night all.
Aye.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
bye.
Right.
Right.